got to move it around. I live my life very ceremoniously. The process of saging is very important to me. It is a tool that I use to transition everyone from the city world into the natural world. I love nature. We don't own any of it. So we should be respectful at the utmost. My name is Tony Alvarez. I identify as an indigenous man. I've been foraging for 7+ years. That's really when I found my passions. You're welcome. Give 'em a little salt bath when you get home.
Okay.
Make a little croquet or something, whatever, I mean, there's so much to find out here. It's nature's grocery store.
But there are very few places where Tony is allowed to go foraging. It's illegal in most parts of California, as well as the rest of the country.
As far as the laws are concerned, those laws are very racist. They're rooted in racism and starving out the enemy.
Once the white settlers came from Europe, the first anti-foraging laws targeted Native Americans. The settlers said, you know what, we're just going to tell the Native Americans, you cannot forage here. This is our land. And the land grew and grew. You said the Native Americans, you can't go here, that's ours. And then you move the goalpost. Okay, now you can't go here. African Americans had always been allowed to forage. And soon after the end of the war, the racist landowners who had to free the slaves passed anti-foraging laws that targeted African Americans. And then right now, in most places, whether federal, state, or local level, you're prohibited from foraging, and that's the default.
One place where that's not the case is South Point State Park in Sonoma County.
I will say to you, like, nobody eats that, or a lot of people eat that, okay? So that's how you guys can learn how to identify mushrooms.
But with foraging growing in popularity during the pandemic, it might not be legal here for long.
State Parks is always considering the impacts to resources on any activity that happens in a park. In fact, when we established mushroom collection in Salt Point as an activity, it was on a temporary basis. At this point, with the popularity of it, we do have a really large number of people out there collecting mushrooms. And so when you're collecting a mushroom, it's like taking an apple from the tree. You're not killing that mushroom, but you are potentially taking away a resource for another organism, and they're dependent upon that thing. If we take a majority of those fruiting bodies out of their habitat, then you're removing important connections that we don't really fully understand at this point.
While there is no scientific consensus on the environmental impact, many foragers believe, if done responsibly, foraging can actually serve the ecosystem.
That's actually part of land management, is utilizing these things and putting them into your diet, using them as energy, and breaking down some of the overage, some of the surplus. If somebody knows what they're doing and they're foraging, then that should be enough.
So with mushrooms, we don't know exactly where that line is. Let's just be clear. I think we operate on what we call the precautionary principle, right? So we take a conservative approach with trying to protect these populations. That's our job here at State Parks, is to protect these landscapes for perpetuity to the best of our ability.
People of color, African descent, and natives, we've been foraging since the dawn of our people. It's done around the world. All indigenous people around the world forage for food. As far as my people are concerned, I don't think that any of those laws apply to us or should apply to us.
Today, more and more people of color are reclaiming their foraging heritage through social media.
For me, foraging as a Black woman is an act of rebellion through restoration of knowledge. Too often, people of color put their hands to the earth to support others. It is an act of justice to put our hands to the earth to support ourselves.
I connect with this at such a deep level. It's part of my spirit, it's part of who I was before, and it's part of who I'll always be. And I will always share my knowledge with anybody who's accepting of it.